Hello everyone and welcome to another reading session. Happy Monday. Today we are going to be reading a book called The Way of the Woods. I hope you've been sent the link. If you haven't, please just let us know and we'll get that to you just so you can follow the video a bit more efficiently. I hope everyone's staying safe. I hope everyone's okay during lockdown. It's not easy, but hang on in there, we'll get through this. So I'm just going to follow the same plan that I usually follow. So read a few pages, go through any difficult terminology, any difficult words, and at the end I'll have some questions just to check your understanding. You're not assessed on these in any way, it's just for your benefit really. So this is what the book looks like, and that's The Way of the Woods. I think last time I also chose an animal book, so I apologise for 2 animal books in a row. I'll try and find something non-animal related for next time. Okay, so if we move to the first page, which has a bear on the front of the page, so it's this. We're looking for this, and this is where we're starting. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay. Many years ago, deep in the North Woods, lived a great bear named Paw Paw. He was the strongest and bravest bear alive and respected by all the forest creatures. One day, all the animals gathered together to discuss some changes in the woods. A new animal that walked on 2 legs and was covered in strange fur was making its home nearby. They needed a leader and could think of no one better than Paw Paw. So I'll just stop there and I'll go through some words that I think might need some more clarification. So the first page there, the word strongest. So I'm sure a lot of you already know what strong means. Kind of the power and the ability to lift heavy weights or perform tasks that are physically demanding, and that's what strong means. And in this instance, Paw Paw the bear is the strongest, so that means that nobody else is stronger. No other animal in the woods is stronger than Paw Paw. And this means in context that he can lift weights that nobody else can. So if you find a really, really heavy weight, Paw Paw could lift it, but other animals in the woods wouldn't be able to because he is the strongest. And now in the same sentence on the same line is the word bravest. So brave means to show courage, to show I was going to say bravery. So to show courage. So they're ready to face danger. They're ready to face pain, that kind of thing. So because Paw Paw is the bravest, it means that nobody else is braver than him. They're just like the strongest. Nobody else is stronger than him. Nobody else is braver than him. He has more courage than any of the other animals. That's what this is trying to say. And then on the same page, it says respected. So he was the strongest and bravest bear alive and respected by all of the forest creatures. It means that he is admired due to his achievements, due to his abilities, and all the animals kind of look up to him. So if you think of, if maybe in one of your lives you might have someone that you look up to and you respect, maybe you want to be a bit more like them. I think that's how the animals view Paw Paw. So they admire him, and they ultimately just show him loads of respect, kind of like how you would show respect to royalty, maybe, like, you know, the Queen, the King, things like that. I hope that makes sense. Now, on the next page that we read, we can see that at the top of that page, so I'm talking about this page just to let you know, on the top of that page it says gathered. So one day all the animals gathered together to discuss changes in the woods. So gathered means come together or assemble. So all of the animals came together to discuss changes in the woods. They all kind of came together in a group, they all stood around in a group, they all came to the same area to discuss these changes. And that's what gathered means, that you just bring things together. And the other word that I mentioned there was assemble. I don't know if you've heard of an assembly, but that just means, you know, people assemble together, they gather together for one purpose. Maybe they're there to hear some news, maybe they're there to talk about some changes like these animals are. Okay, now we'll move on to the next page, which looks like this. So, they all marched to Paw Paw's cave and asked if he would be the king of the forest. Paw Paw was thrilled, and even though he didn't know what being a king was about, what being king was all about, he gladly accepted. Paw Paw then said, I will need some helpers, and I want Crawly Crow and Willard Weasel to be my advisors. Well, Crawly and Willard were honoured and both agreed to work with King Paw Paw. Perfect. So if we just go back to this page, we can discuss some words. So marched at the top of that page, that is the word marched. So that means that they are walking quickly with determination, like walking with their arms like this, kind of like how soldiers walk, soldiers march. So they're walking, the animals in this case are walking quickly and they are determined, they have a purpose, and that's why they are marching. And then we have the word thrilled, and that is at the bottom of that same page, and that means feeling excitement or pleasure. So if you're thrilled about something, you're really excited about something, you are really happy about something. So Paw Paw was really excited, he was really happy, he was really I can't think of another word, but he was really happy that he was chosen to be king of these animals. So that's what thrilled means here. And then the very last word on that page is accepted. So accepted means that he said yes, he confirmed. So when they said, Paw Paw, would you be king? He has said yes, which means that he has accepted this role to be king of these animals. Now it's the next page. So I've read through this, so it's just looking at the words. The word advisors here, just to show you the page. The word advisors is, so someone who's important usually has advisors, and these advisors are someone that gives advice based on a particular subject, a particular knowledge area, and so they have people around them who know a lot about particular subjects, and they will be telling this important person everything they know about this subject just to help them make an informed decision. Advice is just kind of guidance, so they don't have to take the advice, but the advice is there if you do want to take it, just to be a bit more helpful, make the job a little bit easier. So that's what the advisors are there for, and he has chosen Crawley Crow and Willard Weasel. And they're just, you know, crows are birds, weasels. If you can look at this picture here, that is Willard Weasel, the red orangey thing. And they are Pawpaw's advisors, so they must know a lot about particular subject areas, and they will be giving advice to Pawpaw to help him with his kingship. And then the word honoured at the bottom of that page, that means that they are regarded with great respect. So if you remember earlier, I talked you through the meaning of the word respected, and that is when somebody is admired due to their achievements or abilities, so you show them a lot of respect. And this is kind of the same thing. So Crawley Crow and Willard Weasel, they were honoured to be chosen to be King Pawpaw's advisors, and they are honoured because they feel that they are respected. So they feel that Pawpaw, the great leader who they look up to, actually really values their opinion. So that's why they are honoured, because they're like, oh, thank you, why me, kind of thing. But then they get to understand that Pawpaw actually really values them as animals. Okay, next page is this. One day, Slither the snake visited King Pawpaw and told him of a strange animal he saw close by. Pawpaw asked, "Where did you see this animal?" Slither replied, "It lives with the strange two-legged creature at the end of our woods." Next page. Pawpaw thought for a moment and said, "Willard and Crawley, go to the edge of the woods and see what this animal is." Within moments, his two helpers were on their way. So, just to go through some words in them 2 pages. I think that first page with Slither the snake, I think that should be okay with words. I couldn't find any that stuck out to me too much, so I just moved straight on to this page. And the word moments at the bottom of that page, that is a very brief period of time. So within moments, his two helpers were on their way, so Crawley Crow and Willard Weasel. Didn't waste any time, they just went straight onto their job, did what Pawpaw said really quickly, and they weren't really hesitating, there was just really, really quickly. Okay, now I'll start reading this page. Some time later, Willard and Crawley returned and excitedly told King Pawpaw that there was indeed a strange animal at the edge of the woods. It wasn't a wolf or a coyote, but looked like one. It was small, maybe the size of Bobby Beaver, and it had a strange barking voice instead of a yelp or a howl. All three sat there for a long time thinking about the strange newcomer that lived so close to their woods. Next page. Finally, King Pawpaw said, "We must go and meet this animal." All three got up and left King Pawpaw's cage. Sorry, cave. All three got up and left King Pawpaw's cave. Cave, not cage, I apologise. Okay, so that first page that I've just read, that looks like this, is, it's quite a long page, has quite a lot of text. So I picked up on the word indeed, and that's at the top paragraph. So this is at the top part of the page, and it says, "There was indeed a strange animal at the edge of the woods." So indeed means that you are responding, confirming something that was already suggested. So Slither the snake had said, there's a strange animal with strange fur at the edge of the woods, and King Pawpaw has sent his 2 helpers to go and have a look, and they have come back confirming that. That's what that means. Like, there is indeed this animal that Slither the Snake said there was. So it's just this idea of confirmation. And then the word coyote there, it's probably not an animal that you would need to know too much about, but it's there, and I'd just like to make you aware of coyotes. It's kind of like a wild dog that looks a bit like a wolf. So that's what they're saying here, that the animal that they are looking at the edge of the woods, this strange animal, isn't a coyote, but it looks like one. And a coyote is this wolf-like, dog-like animal, wild animal. Okay. Then the bottom of that page, the word newcomer. That is just someone who has recently arrived in that place. So someone who, it kind of says it in the word newcomer, so they are new coming. So they have most recently arrived in the woods. The most recently arrived in this place. Okay. Then we have the next page, and at the bottom of this page, so it looks like this. At the bottom of that page, we have the word cave. And this is it's like a natural underground chamber or hole that's usually on the side of hills or mountains, and it's usually made out of rock. So if you see this here, this is Pawpaw's cave. That blue thing in the background, and they're all coming out of King Pawpaw's cave. So it's just like this kind of rock hole house thing in the mountains or hills. Now we are here. In a short while they were at the edge of the woods, watching the strange animal. King Pawpaw said, "Willard, go to the animal and ask what he is and why there is a rope tied around his neck." Without hesitation, Willard scampered across the field, hid behind some piled wood close to the strange animal. "Psst," said Willard. The strange animal looked around. "Psst! I am over here by the wood pile," Willard said in a louder voice. The strange animal stretched the rope as far as it would go, but not being able to see who was speaking, said, "Please come out so that I can see you. My master isn't around." Okay, so that's them 2 pages done. Here we have the word hesitation, and that's at the bottom of this first page that I went through with you. The word hesitation means that you pause before saying or doing something, and Willard did not do this. So it says without hesitation, so Willard did not hesitate. So what he didn't do was wait or pause or have like a brief moment. He just did it. He just did it straight away. He didn't think, he didn't pause, he just went straight for it. He just went and saw this animal without really thinking about it. And then on the same line, it says Willard scampered across the field. Scampered means that he ran with quick, light steps. So kind of, he ran like this. So scampered means that he ran with quick, light steps. Then the next page we have the word woodpile, and this is at the top of the page. It says, "Psst, I'm over here behind the woodpile." And I just chose this word. I know a lot of you probably know what this already means, but I just chose it because it's not often used as one word. So usually you would say maybe pile of wood, but this is saying wood pile, and that's literally just what it means. It just means a pile of wood, but in this case they are using it as one particular word, saying wood pile. And if you can see, this is the wood pile here. It's like a pile of logs almost. And then master at the very bottom of that same page that wood pile is on. My master isn't around. That's what is at the very bottom of this page. So the word master. So this is a man who has people or someone working for him. So maybe helpers, servants, that kind of thing. So a master is a man who has people or someone working for him, maybe as a helper or a servant. And in this case, this animal who was tied with a rope around his neck has a master. So this animal is the master's helper or servant. So that's what that means there. A man who has people or someone working for him, helping him, maybe a servant, maybe even a slave. Now we are here. Willard came out slowly from behind the woodpile and cautiously approached the strange animal. "What type of an animal are you?" asked Willard. "I am a dog, and my name is Dillard," he replied. "And what are you?" he then asked. "Me? I am Willard the Weasel, representing King Pawpaw, ruler of the forest." "Why are you bound to that stake in the ground?" asked Willard. "My master keeps me tied so I cannot go into the woods," replied Dillard. "No animal should be tied," Willard shouted. "I shall bite through the rope to set you free. You can then come into the woods and live with me." Okay, so we'll come back to this page. And the word here is stake. Oh no, sorry, no it isn't. The word here is cautiously, and this is at the top of the first page. Willard came out slowly from behind the woodpile and cautiously approached the strange animal. So cautiously, this means that Willard is doing this in a way that deliberately or purposefully avoids potential problems or dangers. So if you are cautious about something, you are well aware of the problems, you're well aware of the dangers that can take place, but you are doing your best to avoid those problems and dangers. So if he comes out cautiously, he might come out slowly, he might come out looking everywhere, taking in the scenery, seeing if he can see the dog's master. So that's what it means. He's well aware of the problems and the dangers, but he's taking measures and he's taking steps to make sure that they don't happen. And then we have the word representing, and that is at the bottom of that same page. I am Willard the Weasel, representing King Pawpaw, ruler of the forest. Representing means that he has been appointed to act or speak on behalf of King Pawpaw. So King Pawpaw has sent him to look at this animal, find out more information about this animal, and that is what Willard the Weasel is doing. He's doing it on behalf of King Pawpaw. So King Pawpaw isn't doing it himself, he has sent somebody else to do it for him. And that's what that means. He's representing him, he's there instead of King Pawpaw. He's doing it in the name of King Pawpaw. And then on the next page, we have the word stake, and that's at the top of this page. Why are you bound to that stake in the ground? So a stake is a strong wooden post driven into the ground. So it's almost like a big, really strong stick that's hammered into the ground. And the dog, who we now know is called Dillard, is attached to this stake. And that's what the stake is. It's just like this big, strong, thick stick that's driven into the ground. It's hammered into the ground so it can't go anywhere, and then Dillard's lead is attached to the stake so he can't go anywhere. So that's that bit. So now we are onto this page here. In one mighty bite, Willard set Dillard free. Then the two of them ran across the field and into the woods. After Willard introduced Dillard to King Pawpaw and Crawley, they all left. When they got to the centre of the woods, King Pawpaw introduced Dillard to all the other forest creatures. Dillard especially liked meeting Wayne Wolf and Carl Coyote, who seemed to be his cousins. Right, so here at the top of this first page, we have the word mighty, and that means it has great power and great strength behind it. So in one mighty bite. So this isn't like a little nibble. This is like one really powerful bite, and it was powerful enough to set Dillard free without having to use anything else. So that's what mighty means. It means powerful, it means strong. Yeah. Then we move on to the next page, this one. After Willard introduced Dillard to King Pawpaw. Introduced means making somebody known to somebody by name to another person. So if I say, hello, my name is Rebecca, what's your name? I've introduced myself to you, you now know me by name. And if you were to then tell me your name, you would have introduced yourself to me. So it's getting to know each other by name, if you didn't already know each other already. So that's what's happening here. They just so Willard is saying, Dillard, this is King Pawpaw. King Pawpaw, this is Dillard. And then creatures at the end of that paragraph. So this word here, I don't know if you can see that. It's about there. And creatures in this sense just means an animal. So creatures just usually means anything that isn't really human. So to all of the other forest creatures, so animals that live in the forest. And at the bottom of that page, Dillard especially liked meeting Wayne Wolf and Carl Coyote, who seemed to be his cousins. If you remember earlier in the story, it was mentioned that this strange animal, who we now know is Dillard the dog, looked a lot like a coyote but wasn't one. And I told you that a coyote is an animal, a wild animal that looks like a wolf. It's like a wild dog. That's what this means. So a cousin in this sense means like wider extended families, but they're not actually related, they're not closely related. So Dillard is saying that Wayne Wolf and Carl Coyote, who are both dog related, wolf related species, he's saying that they seem to be his cousins, and that's because they're not the same species. So you have a dog, you have a coyote, you have a wolf. They're not the same species, but because they look so similar, you think, oh, well, maybe we're distantly related. We might not be the same species. We might not be brother and sister. We might not be brothers, but we might be cousins. So a little bit more distantly related instead of immediately related. I hope that makes sense. I mean, usually a cousin is the child of your auntie or uncle. So, and your auntie or uncle is your mother or father's brother or sister. So, if my mum has a sister, this is just an example, if my mum has a sister who has a son, that son is my cousin. So that's what it kind of means in that context. But in this context, in respect to the book, it means more, we're not closely related, but we're related in some way. Okay, so now we're on to the next page, which looks like this. As the summer passed, King Pawpaw fattened himself on berries and salmon. Dillard and Willard became good friends. One day Willard sniffed the air. Oh, what a marvellous smell was being carried on the breeze. Chicken eggs, fresh chicken eggs, Willard thought to himself. I must find them and have a snack. In seconds he was off running through the woods and following his nose to his favourite treat. Okay, so in this scenario, I picked up on the word salmon, which is at the top of that first page. A salmon is a type of fish. It's like you can get pink or red salmon, and bears love salmon. So bears eat a lot of fish and they eat a lot of salmon. So I just picked up just in case you weren't aware of the fact that salmon is a type of fish. And then we have the next page. At the top of that next page is the word marvellous. So it's just this page here. So marvellous is very good, very pleasing. So marvellous, it's amazing, it's really good, it's pleasing, you're happy about it. So this marvellous smell, it's a really good smell. It you know, it fills him full of pleasure because it smells so good. That's what marvellous means. Now move on to the next page, which looks like this. His nose led him to the strange creature's house where he had first met Dillard. He looked around. All was clear. He followed the wonderful smell of eggs into a strange cave. He looked around and couldn't believe his eyes. There were chicken eggs, hundreds of chicken eggs, all around him. As he reached for an egg, a chicken saw him and sounded the alarm. Soon all the chickens were clucking, squawking, and making a fuss. Okay, so if we go back to this first page here, I will explain the meaning of the word. Oh wait, sorry, I didn't pick up on any words on that page. So if we go to this page, sorry, and I'll explain the meaning of the word sounded, which is at the top of that page. So sounded means it causes something to make a sound. And in this case, it's the alarm, and an alarm is a warning sound. So these chickens are blaring this warning sound that this Willard the Weasel is trying to steal all these chicken eggs. So these chickens are making this alarm noise. So again, sounded means causing something to make a sound, causing something to make a noise. Then at the bottom, clucking and squawking, they are just sounds that chickens make. So cluck, squawk, they're the sounds that the chickens are making, and that's their alarm, I think. Now we are here. Then he heard something behind him. As he turned, he saw the strange creature that lived there, the one that Dillard called master. There was no escape, and Willard was terrified. The strange creature looked at Willard and said, "You varmint! You are the weasel that set Dillard free." "Why, I ought to—" But before he could finish, Willard yelled out, "Wait! Don't do anything to me. I can return Dillard to you. Just let me pass and Dillard will be back in a very short time." At the very bottom of this first page, I found the word terrified, and just in case you don't know what that means, it kind of it means very, very, very scared, very frightened. So Willard has been seen by this human, Dillard's master, and that's why he's so terrified. He's really, really scared. He's really frightened. That's what that means. And then at the top of the next page is, so we're on this page here, it's the word varmint. I didn't actually know what this word was, so I had to look this word up, but it means a troublesome wild animal. So Willard is a troublesome wild animal. That's what that means. I didn't have a clue what that meant. You learn something new every day. Now we are here. The strange creature stepped aside and let Willard free. When Willard returned to the woods, he ran to his friend. "Dillard, quick, follow me. I need your help." Well, Dillard didn't hesitate to help his friend, and off they ran, with Willard in the lead. And I didn't find any words on there that I thought were too worrying. So I'll just move on this page. As they crossed the field, Dillard stopped. "What's wrong?" asked Willard. "My master lives there, and I am afraid to go any further," Dillard replied. "Don't worry," said Willard. "Your master is not there." Again Dillard followed Willard right into the cave with all the chickens. In a flash the master had a rope around Dillard's neck. He then looked at the weasel, tossed him an egg, and said, "Thank you for returning my dog." Again, I didn't find any words from these next two pages that were particularly difficult. I suppose there at the end of that page, the word returning, that just means bring back. So the human there is saying, "Thank you for returning my dog. Thank you for bringing back my dog." So now we are here. Willard left for the woods without saying a word. Dillard remained with the farmer, making sure no weasel or any other varmint ever bothered his livestock. So on this last page, I saw the word remained, so that means stayed with. So Dillard stayed with the farmer. He stayed with the human. That's what Dillard the dog did. He remained, he stayed with. And then at the very bottom of that page, the last word, the word livestock. So they are just kind of farm animals. So cows, horses, pigs, chickens, ducks maybe, livestock. So alive animals in a farm, they live there. So that's what that means, and that's what Dillard the dog is doing. He's preventing any wild animals from getting to these farm animals that the farmer is using. And this is a book. It's a story with a moral, and a moral is a lesson. It's something that you should take away from the book. And the moral here is use caution when listening to the words of others. Don't be misled by their trickery. So misled is when you cause someone to have a wrong idea or impression. So if you mislead someone, you are purposely excuse me, you are purposely making them think something that is untrue. So that is what misleading is. You are purposely making someone think something that is totally wrong, totally untrue. You're purposely taking them away from the right and said that something that is true. And trickery, the very last word there, is deception. It's lies. So if you trick someone, you are lying. And if someone is a trickery, they kind of practices trickery, then they are practicing deception, they are practicing lies, they are carrying these lies out. And that's what trickery means. That's the end of that book. I enjoyed that. So now we have questions. I have some questions to ask you just to check your knowledge about the book. They're nothing heavy, just to give you a chance to flick through, check your knowledge and understanding of the story. First question. What was the name of the woods that Paw Paw lived in? I think you can go right to the first page, right back to the first page, and I'll give you a bit longer, some time to think about what that might be. So, what was the name of the woods that Paw Paw lived in? Tiny bit longer. Okay. The name of the woods that Paw Paw the bear lived in were called North Woods. North Woods, and that is on the first page of this story. Second question. Why did the animals need a leader? Why did the animals need a leader? Why did the animals need a leader? It's on this page if you need some help with the page it's on. This page. It would be easy for your page numbers, wouldn't it? Why did the animals need a leader? Couple more seconds on that one. Okay, so the animals needed a leader because a new animal that walked on two legs and was covered in strange fur was making its home nearby. So perhaps they needed protection, perhaps they needed a way to deal with it. That is why they needed a leader. So the reason why the leadership conversation was brought up was because the new animal, which we now know to be Dillard the dog, and was covered by strange fur, it was making its home nearby in the woods, so they felt maybe, okay, maybe we're threatened a little bit, maybe we need a leader to help us through this. So that's why they felt like they needed a leader. Third question. Why did Dillard's master keep him tied to a stake? I think you'll have to go further on in the book to find this question, to find the answer to this question. So because you have to go so far forward, I'll give you a couple of minutes just to try and find the page. Why did Dillard's master keep him tied to a stake? Why did Dillard's master keep him tied to a stake? And I can show you this page if you're struggling with which page it is. It's this page. So if I've given you a bit of help with the page, maybe you can find the answer. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Why did Dillard's master keep him tied to a stake? And remember, stake is the stick in the ground. Okay, so the answer here is so he could not go into the woods. So the words in the story. Why are you bound to that stake in the ground? Asked Willard. My master keeps me tied, so I cannot go into the woods, replied Dillard. So that's the answer. He keeps him tied to the stake, so he cannot run off into the woods. And the final question I have for you is, what deal did Willard make with Dillard's master? What deal did Willard make with Dillard's master? A bit further on. What deal did Willard make with Dillard's master? Give you a little bit of time to find the page because it's quite far on in the story. I'll show you the page. What deal did Willard make with Dillard's master? Okay. If you still haven't found it, don't worry, you can just pause the video and play it when you found it to see the answer. Okay, so the deal that Willard made with Dillard's master was that if he let Willard pass, he would bring Dillard to him. So at the bottom of the page I just showed you, I can return Dillard to you, just let me pass and Dillard will be back in a very short time. So the deal that Willard has made with Dillard's master is that if Dillard's master lets him pass, then he will bring Dillard the dog back to him. And that's what Willard did. He kept to his promise. And yeah, he even got an egg out of it, which is what he wanted all along. So the master let Willard pass, and in return he got Dillard back. That is the end of the story. That is the end of the questions. I hope it's been really helpful. I've enjoyed that book. It was a really good book. Has the moral at the end, so really informative as well. I hope you are all keeping really well. I hope you're all keeping really safe during these times. Hang on in there, it won't last forever. Yeah, so we'll continue to see you on Mondays for our reading sessions that me and Tess have. So thank you for watching, it means a lot. See you later, bye.